Assalamu alaikum. My name is Abdullah and I am a first year student from this college, and today we are going to talk about the third article, which is a poem, A Bird Came Down the Walk by Emily Dickinson. In this poem, the two aspects of nature, that is brutality and beauty, have been discussed, and in order to understand those, we need to understand first these 5 figures of speech, in which there is simile, personification, imagery, metaphor and symbolism. Simile is a figure of speech that compares two different things by using as or like. And for example from the poem is, they look like frightened beads. Like, it compares birds' eyes to frightened beads, birds' little eyes to frightened beads. Then personification, any figure of speech that give human-like qualities to non-humans. Like the example from the poem is, he drank a dew. Then drinking is a human-like quality which is given to bird. Therefore, then imagery, any descriptive language that appeals to the senses and creates mental image. Here the poet has used, he beat an angleworm in halves. It creates a brutal image of nature. Then we talk about metaphor, when poet compares two unlike things by giving them a single quality to make a strong term. For example, Ali proved a lion in the battle. Here the quality of this used is bravery, which have been used for Ali. Then symbolism. In this technique, the poet tries to create image at a thing by associating with another thing. For example, the bird's flight at the end. The bird's flight at the end symbolizes freedom of nature. Then we can talk about reference to context. In this, a stanza would be given and we have to translate the stanza and read the context. In the reference, we have to line this. These lines have been taken from the poem, and the poem, any poem that you are writing the concept about, and the poet of the poem, which is Emily Dickinson here. Then the context of the poem, which also calls theme or summary of the poem. Then we can start the explanation by saying, in these lines the poet wants to say that, and say, explains, defines, you can use any word. And we come to the poem. The first stanza says, a bird came down the walk, he did not saw, I know. He beat an angleworm in halves and ate the fellow raw. In the third line, he beat an angleworm in halves, is the imagery. The imagery, he beat an angleworm in halves, shows the brutal image. And the last line, he ate the fellow raw, is also personification, which gives the birds the human-like qualities. And this stanza depicts the brutal aspect of nature. Then in the second stanza, and then he drank a dew from a convenient grass, and then hopped sideways to the walls to let a bitter pass. The first line is again personification, he drank a dew. The poet has given the bird a human-like sense. Then this stanza depicts the grace and delicacy of nature. In the third stanza, he says, he glanced with rapid eyes that hurried all around. They looked like frightened beads. I thought he stirred his velvet head. Then again the poet has used simile in the third stanza. They look like frightened beads, where the small eyes of the bird have been compared to frightened trembling beads. This stanza depicts the caution and fear and alertness. Then in the fourth stanza, he says, like one in danger, cautious, I offered him a crumb, and he unrolled his feathers and rode him softer home. The last line is personification, that has given the bird human-like sense again. And this stanza depicts the distance between humans and nature. Then in the last stanza, he says, then oars divide the ocean, two silver for the seam, or butterflies of the noon leap plashes as they swim. In the first line, in the first, third and fourth line, he have again used simile and a figure of speech that compares two different things by using as or the. Where the oars divide the ocean, the wings of the wings of the bird glide through the air. And or butterflies of the bank. Here the poet has compared the bird's flight to soft and smooth flight of butterflies. Then leap lashes as they swim is compared to the bird's flight to butterflies' soft flight again. This stanza depicts the grace and beauty of the nature and the bird's flight. In the upcoming test, there are 5 short questions that will be discussed from the poem, and they will be of 10 numbers, and then the reference to context, it will be of 10 numbers too, in which the reference will be given of 5 numbers, then the poem and poet's name will be 1 number, and context for 1 number, and explanation again for 3 numbers. Then there will be an application and 5 pair of words for 5 numbers. The total will be 30 numbers in the test. Thank you.